Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. That man is Teddy Covers. And we got a jam-packed show. Steve Merril, right off the top, he's going to look at two baseball games, Diamondbacks, Nationals, Braves, and Dodgers. Teddy Covers is a big game breakdown. It's in the NBA. Carmine Bianco talking some hockey. We got two games from him, Dallas, Vancouver, Washington, and Colorado. And guys, Carm is on a 14-0 hockey run. So make sure to pay attention and stay tuned. Art DiCesare, Teddy, no longer on Wednesdays, now on Mondays. He ends the show. And of course, the daily presidential address. Brother, how are you feeling? How was your weekend? Is your run still continuing? So many questions.
We swept again yesterday. We swept on Friday. We swept on Sunday. Another winning weekend. It's been, an extended stretch now since February. Been running really, really good. But we talk about what I learned this last week, and we got to talk NBA playoff basketball when it comes to series prices. 6 of the 8 NBA series were lined at minus $4, under minus $4 on Friday. Only the Bucks versus the Bulls and the Suns versus the Pelicans worked. Even the Hawks, the number 8 seed against the number 1 seed Heat, less than minus $4 for Miami. And that's not, fairly rare for NBA first round series. A lot of times you see 5 or 6 of them priced at minus 500 or higher going in. But what we saw on Friday compared to what we're seeing on Monday is very, very different. Injuries already the story in 3 different series. The Jazz now as high as minus 900 against the Mavs. No Luka for Dallas. The Sixers now as high as minus 550 against the Raptors. No Scotty Barnes, and then Gary Trent and Thaddeus Young both doubtful tonight. The Heat now minus 800. The Hawks without Clint Capella. The injuries already rearing their heads in the NBA. And then, you have the Warriors up to minus 600 against the Nuggets. And then, of course, Denver's injuries have impacted Denver, and even though they're not new injuries, Murray and Porter Jr. And then, of course, you have the blowout series. For the Bucks right now, you can risk 35 to win 1 to win the series. For the Suns right now, you can risk 50 to win 1. My old buddy Paul Howard used to call them bridge jumpers. If you're going to do that, please shop around for the best numbers. So really, there's only 2 competitively priced series anymore after the opening weekend of the NBA playoffs. The Nets Celtics and the T-Wolves Grizzlies. And frankly, I would be shocked if either one of those series goes 7 games. But the point is this, Prez, with all of these game 1 wins and the series price adjustment, if you think any of the dogs are live in the series, today's the day to bet them. Teams down 0-2 don't win series. Teams tied 1-1, sometimes they do. What about you, Prez? What did you learn this weekend?
Well, I want to ask a question about 35-1 or whatever it is. Milwaukee. Is there ever a time to make those bets, Teddy? Because I feel like ultimately it's a value proposition. And, man, if you put down $3,500 and win $100 over a 10-day period, given the stock market and whatnot, that's not the world's worst return in 10 days. Is there ever a time to make those type of bets?
So the reason you're laying 40 to win 1 or laying 50 to win 1 is because that team is very likely to win the game or win the series or whatever it is. So if you can handle the risk tolerance, you can absolutely chip up. It's almost a poker strategy, stealing the blinds again and again. You can do that. But the problem is the one time you lose takes you a long way back. So sure, you can get away with it. You get away with it perhaps for a long time, but one loss destroys you. It's not a strategy that I recommend.
Back in the day when Muhammad Ali reigned, a lot of bettors were taking those type of numbers. I mean, it's really changed over the last 40, 50 years. When boxing ruled the betting world, people were not afraid to take minus 1,200. Now,
sure, but
no
I'm going to talk about it in modern terms. All right. In the Super Bowl every year, you have the will there be a safety or will there be overtime? All right. And every year the wise guys are betting 12 to win 1. There's no OT. And then the one year, finally there was an overtime and they lost.
And that safety in the Indianapolis
safety prop
game.
hit 3 years in a row. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
The no safety. And again, you got clobbered on that if you're betting the no. Many other years, those win and cash with ease. But, when you lose at minus 1,000 or minus 2,000, it takes, 10 wins to get back to where you were. Not to start making profit, just to get back to where you were when you lose a minus 1,000 bet, and 20 wins at a minus 2,000 bet. So I don't make these bets very often. I really don't. There may be opportunities, but it's not something I look for. Okay, let's risk 20 to win this one.
Well, we're going to ask in 2 seconds Steve Merril to join this part of the conversation. But before I get into that, Teddy, I got to point out a couple of things. We have a bunch of incredible handicappers over at WagerTalk. By the way, guys, it's $9 Monday. Everybody's play $9. Teddy should be at the top of your list. This guy is on freaking fire. Plus, I think you're about 50% ROI on the calendar year, dude. Something like that.
Yeah. But I had a crappy January.
I looked last
the
night.
Run rate, that's like 121% ROI since the end of February or something like that. I mean, it's been
it's unbelievable.
It's
unbelievable. So $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk. But what I wanted to say was, for us, this game is about, laying down. Regretfully, most people don't buy season sales from us. Most of the people buy, I would say, our 3-day package and our 7-day package really are the bulk of what we do sales-wise. And therefore, the runs are crucial. I am on a 40 and 15 NHL run. I've won 40 NHL games and lost 15 in the last 55. And in that period, Brian Leonard laid down like a 12-0 run. Then Andrew McGinnis laid down like a 17-0 run. And now Carmine is laying down a 14-0 run. So not only do I need to go on a 6 serious, ridiculous run, but I got to do it when they have bad cards. And I can't believe my 40 and 15 run has been overshadowed by 3 ridiculously good experts. It's unbelievable. Now that, Teddy, is how you compliment 3 people while being a complete egomaniac.
It's what you do.
Steve Merril, you ever make those kind of bets minus $1 million?
No, and I'm glad you threw it to me because I want to talk about something you guys left out. First of all, the spread on these is tremendous. So it's not talking about is there value with the New Orleans Pelicans at 15-1, or should you lay 1-40 with Phoenix? By the way, I can get 1-35, 15-1. I mean, it's a huge split. No matter what book you look at, you're talking about like a 1,900-cent split. Whereas on a regular football bet, it's a 20-cent split, minus 110, minus 110. A baseball bet today, you can get 10-cent splits, right? Minus 110, even money. We're talking about like a 1,900-cent split. So neither team has true odds because the true odds are in the middle, and there's a tremendous house edge built in because of that. So that's another reason you never want to be playing these because there's tremendously no value normally. And I'll use a investing analogy for you here, Prez. It's called trying to pick up nickels in front of a steamroller when you're playing this 1-35. It works until that 1 out of 100 times when it doesn't work, and boom, you don't work no more.
Oh, the old 1918 steamroller analogy, huh?
Do you think people understood that? Steamrollers
Yes,
are very slow. You can pick up the nickel day after day, but the one time you slip,
train tracks,
you're done. Penny on a train track, right?
Yeah,
And that's the thing too. The risk reward on it. Even if you think there's value at 1-35, Mike Tyson was a pretty easy bet. Use that boxing analogy until he faced Buster Douglas. And in hindsight, we can all say, well, we should have known something was up. He was going through the divorce, the criminal stuff, but there was a reason Buster Douglas was 48-1, right? Nobody was betting him. And that was the one time that lost all those bets you would have made betting Tyson for 2 or 3 years before that. So it's like anything. The martingale, it's almost like a martingale, Prez. It works until it doesn't work. That 1 out of 100 times, like Teddy said.
Teddy has the best martingale story ever, Steve. At 100 miles an hour, he moved to Vegas, like literally in his first couple of days, puts it all on black or red, whatever, lose. Go ahead, Teddy.
It's a long story. We're not going to tell it right now, and it happened well before I moved to Vegas. But
okay, well, he lost all his money.
We got MLB to talk about for today. Lawrence doesn't seem to want to get into actually analyzing some games. You want to start that, Lawrence, or you want me to take?
Diamondbacks at Nationals, Steve, minus 135, 8.5. Gray versus Baumgartner. How do we bet this game?
Prez, I'll defend you this one time because that was actually something important to talk about. It was a money management betting type topic, and we do have a lot of new viewers. So I'll just tell anybody out there that does not know what the martingale is, Google martingale betting method. It'll win 99% of the time for you, yet you still do not want to do it. So Google martingale, and it'll give you some good education if you're new to the betting world. Betting bad teams is something else you probably don't want to do too much in baseball. We talked about it last week when I faded the D-backs. And here we got 2 bad teams. My Washington Nationals won the World Series just a few years ago, but I think they're going to be pretty bad this year. I gave out a free play here on the site a couple weeks ago on my page at WagerTalk.com for the season on Nationals under 71.5 wins. You talk about shopping around. FanDuel at 69.5, some offshores at 71.5. I even saw a 72. So once again, shows why you need to shop around on numbers. But these are 2 teams I think are probably finish the bottom of their division. And both are off to pretty mediocre starts so far. Nationals 4-7, Arizona 3-6. Bumgarner, though, is who I want to talk about here. We actually talked about him last Wednesday when I was on the show, and we mentioned that he didn't pitch well in his opener. And this is a guy that might hang around a little longer than he should, just based on past results during his career. But he did bounce back with a better outing in his last start last Wednesday against the Astros. Gave up just 1 run, only 5 hits in 5 innings. Meanwhile, Gray for the Nationals, also a bad start in his opener, bounced back with 1 hit allowed in 5 innings. So both guys look good in their last starts. I think it carries over here. And one of the reasons, we talk about pitching all the time, but one of the reasons these are 2 bad teams is they're 2 of the most inconsistent offensive teams in the league. And I like the under 8 here in this one. It opened as high as 8.5. It's down to 8, but 8's not a huge key number. So I still think there's some value here. And just to put it in perspective, Arizona on the season, batting just 152 as a team, averaging just 2.3 runs. Washington, meanwhile, averaging 4 on the season, 232, but at home, 2 runs a game and 164. They continue to have offensive problems at home. We saw this a lot last year. Keep in mind, Chase Field for Arizona is a pretty hitter-friendly park, so the D-backs on the road are usually a much weaker offensive team. Nationals at home, so we get a little home-road dichotomy working for us here. 2 teams are hitting below 175 home and away. We'll take under 8, Arizona, Washington, and we'll look for Bumgarner and Gray to have another good start after a good showing last week.
So it's too funny, Steve. I was just coming up with a question to ask you, and I glanced over at the WagerTalk live odds screen, and this game has just been rained out.
It will definitely not go over. Boom.
Yeah.
Steve with a winner.
Great analysis, unfortunately. But so the analysis you were talking about may well come into play tomorrow if these 2 teams play tomorrow. But I'm going to ask you the question, a follow-up anyway on this, because can you make any money with teams like Arizona or Washington, or are these just you look for ways to bet against them? Is there anything we can do with teams that are just going to be bottom feeders that can have any profitability involved in the mix?
Yeah, Teddy, it's funny. It kind of tails into what we were talking about earlier, laying those big prices.
Oh, no, he's
Steve
frozen.
Merril just froze. We have
a rain out and a freeze.
He's back. Teddy, that was a great question, though. I want to hear the answer. Do we have... No, he's still frozen. You know what?
Right.
Let's cut him. Steve Merril. Having technical issues, but I should tell everybody, because one thing about Steve, he comes on here and tells us about his record. #1 ranked baseball Handicapper in totals last season, number 2 ranked NBA guy in sides the past year. And one of the best there is, Teddy. Steve Merril. Guys, we have him back. Steve, we see you.
Yeah, it's
Steve.
weird. It's starting to rain here in Virginia, so I guess that's why we're rained out in DC tonight, Teddy. But I didn't think the weather was getting that rough, but something cut me there, so I'm back.
Okay, well, let's just move on to the next game, Steve, because we got to run. Braves and Dodgers.
Hang on a second, Lawrence.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just
Teddy,
because
take
you
the
wanted to
show
hear
over.
his answer.
Do your thing.
No, Teddy, I'll give you a quick
wanted
answer
to hear
on
his
that.
answer. You said you wanted to hear his answer, so let's hear his answer. Steve, you were talking
Teddy,
about
I was saying
making
it's
money with
kinda-
bad teams.
Yeah, it's similar to what we're talking about just easily playing, those huge favorites in the NBA playoffs right now, like at 1-35. I thought of this last week when we were talking about how bad the D-backs are going to win. The D-backs are going to lose 90-plus games most likely this year. So why not just play against them every week? The problem is, you will have a lot of $2.50, over $2 prices that kind of even it out that one time they hit. But what I would recommend with bad teams like Arizona, do not back them unless they're in decent current form. And we saw this last year. I think they started like 8-9. And then they went 4-32 straight up out of 36 games. But we saw with the Pirates a few years ago, they lost 17 out of 21, and then they won like 6 out of 9. So these teams that they're going to win some games. Arizona will still win like 50-plus games, but you want to make sure they're playing decent ball and not try to catch that falling knife. Another investment analogy for the Prez.
Oh, look at you, Steve, rocking and rolling. Let's move to the Dodgers. They're playing the Braves minus 185. 8 is the total. Kershaw on the mound. Talk to us, Steve.
Yeah, a couple of things here. First of all, Dodgers, a very good team, right? Exact opposite of Braves or Nationals, 7-2 on the season. So why not just play them every game, right? Well, it's because you're going to be laying over $2 in a lot of games. And the odds makers once again price that in. Here was a case where I thought we were getting a little bit of a discount with Kershaw on the Dodgers. When I sent it over last night, it was $1.80, $1.85. You check right now the WagerTalk live odds screen. It's over minus 220 in a lot of spots. So I think we're going to have to look at the run line now, which is minus 1.5, minus 110. As you guys remember, the Dodgers of the last couple of years, they either win straight up by 2+ runs normally, or they lose outright. So I'm okay laying the 1.5 run line still here. But fun game to talk about, Teddy, because Kershaw is pulled with a perfect game in the 7th inning in his last start. Just from a sports world topic, that was something that was very heated. I think it brings him out motivated tonight, and I think it shows that he still has his stuff. This is a guy that really struggled in September and October last year. He's obviously struggled with injuries for many years, but he pitched a gem last week. They pulled him out of the pitch count, so we know we're going to get that bullpen tonight. Dodgers bullpen, the whip on the season, 0.8. It's an excellent bullpen, and it's also more of a play against Atlanta for me than anything. They played the Sunday night game in San Diego last night on ESPN, a low-scoring 2-1 loss. They had only 4 hits. They've now had single-digit hits in 5 of their last 6 games overall. Actually, I believe 6 of their last 7 overall. They're not hitting the ball that great. On this extended road trip, travel with no rest against a hot pitcher, I think was something to prove still. Dodgers would be the way I'd play this one. Now that it's gotten over 220, minus 1.5 run line's a better option.
So the Dodgers have now won 6 in a row. They've won them all on the run line as well as on the money line. So every one of those wins coming by 2 runs or more. Only one of the 6 came by 2. The other one came by 3 runs or more. 4 of the 6 have come by 5 runs or more. If you're playing the Dodgers, you just playing them on the run line every time, or is this a team that you're going to find your spots to take them on the run line? But in general, you might take them on the money line, or is this run line only for LA? Because we know how they're priced. They're $2 favorites almost every day.
Exactly. And this gets back once again to the kind of the topic at the beginning, right? About that of values or value at 1-35 or whatnot. I think you don't want to be laying long-term minus 220 in baseball, because here again, the split at a lot of books right now is minus 220 plus 180. That's a 40-cent line at some books versus like a 10-cent line for regularly priced baseball games, or a 20-cent line for the run line. So just by pure, value math there, you're getting half the juice on the run line as opposed to a 40-cent split on the regular line. So I don't think you're going to find too many spots with the Dodgers unless they're, below that minus 160, minus 150 price. And as you said, they're a good offensive team. They win by margin. That's something you want to look for when you're playing the run line, lane 1.5.
Steve Merril, everyone. Steve, outstanding stuff. I already promoted your incredible baseball and NBA record. It's $9 Mondays in 15 seconds. What do you have up for the clients?
Yeah, it's quite simple. Number one in MLB totals last year. Number two over the past year in NBA sides. 97.5 units won. Get my strongest baseball and basketball best bets from Monday and save big. $9 Monday. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Awesome stuff. Teddy, you ready, man? We're going to take a quick break. Teddy's big game breakdown on the NBA. Carmine Bianco, Art DiCesare. And if we get 35 more thumbs up, the daily presidential address.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to the association for a crucial game 2 tonight. The Raptors and the 76ers. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Philly minus 7.5 total in the 216 range in tonight's matchup between these two squads. I'm going to take a sip for a sec. Good tea. So, Philly's coming off a pretty impressive win. Tyrese Maxey having the game of his life. Tobias Harris scoring 26 points for Philly. James Harden and Joel Embiid combined for just 11 of 32 from the floor. Neither one of them were among Philly's top 2 scorers. That's scary for Toronto because they just got slapped around and neither Harden nor Embiid did all that much on the offensive end. The quotes from Philadelphia showing focus. Embiid, it's only one game. We need to do it 3 more times. You look at the Raptors quotes, and they're different. You know, I mean, Toronto, it was a bad loss. They got riddled with injuries. Scotty Barnes isn't going to play tonight. Gary Trent and Thaddeus Young, both doubtful. This is not a Raptors team with great depth to begin with. And then we look at the quotes. You know, Pascal Siakam, collectively as a team, we just didn't match the intensity. For a playoff game, your playoff veterans, Nick Nurse, we've just got to be better. For us, I think in the first half, they had 0 turnovers. And I told the team, I don't remember a half in 9 years that I've been here, we haven't turned a team over at all. Just goes to not enough ball pressure, not enough active hands, probably not enough physicality, things that you need to do. Fred VanVleet, quote, I wouldn't say we lost ourselves. I just think we weren't ourselves in a lot of areas. I think what we do, a lot of what we do is predicated on our aggressiveness and our length and making plays on the ball, causing turnovers, blocking shots. And I think whether that was jitters from some of the newer guys or with a whistle or whatever the case may be, we were just a little slow. So given those quotes from the two sides, given the way the game 1 played out, given the injuries for Toronto, what do we do with this info? We expect this Raptors team to bring it tonight. And I think the way they're going to bring it is on the defensive end. So how am I going to play it? Let's look at the Philadelphia 76ers team total sitting at 114.5. That's a little bit high for this better. Look for the Sixers team total to stay under the number. There's your big game breakdown. Expect something from Toronto on the defensive end tonight. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers outstanding stuff. Guys, listen, we started the show talking about how hot Teddy is, both physically and his run. Guys up over 100 million units since February 1st. I, too, am absolutely on fire. I'm killing it in baseball right now. My NHL is unbelievable. During Steve Merrill's segment, I put a promotion together for both Teddy and I. It is the Odd Couple promotion. We do this once every 6-7 weeks. Guys, it's on Teddy's page and my page. No coupon required. 3-day all access for both Teddy and my plays. Only $59. So it's basically a buy one, get one free. $59. The odd couple promotion. Head over to a Wager Talk, click on Teddy's page or my page. Make sure to grab that. And it's going to be, you guys are going to be thankful for doing so, because both Teddy and I are seeing it really well right now. Speaking of seeing it really well, Carmine freaking 14-0 Bianco. What up, my brother?
How's it going? When you're talking about the odd couple, I see Teddy as like Tony Randall, the really cool, good-looking, sharp guy. And you're like Jack Klugman, more or less. But with that said, Prez and Teddy, I got to tell you this story real quickly. A big thanks to Lawrence. My anniversary with my wife is the 30th of this month, but we went out to this restaurant yesterday in Toronto called Don Alphonse, which is rated the #1 Italian restaurant in the world outside of Italy, of course. And at the end, Samuel, who's like the GM or whatever there, comes up because I had asked for the bill and says, "Your bill has been taken care of." Lawrence called in and paid the entire bill along with the tip. Such a generous thing from the Prez, and I wanted to thank him. Everyone on the show that sometimes gives him a hard time. He is a good guy. He's got a good heart. So thanks for that.
All good, Carm. It was a pleasure. Now Teddy's going to let me know where him and Kara are eating tonight.
So you'd love this, Prez. I ate at Amalfi last night. We had a big dinner up at Amalfi with the whole family. So
nice.
Bobby Flay restaurant over in Caesars. It was a real good meal. So
excellent.
I never do anything, and I did that last night. So cheers.
Well, I'm glad you did, Teddy. Guys, let's go. Vancouver, Dallas. I'm going to talk about this game in the daily presidential address. Carm, me and you have spoke about it in great detail. How are you betting this game?
Yeah, last night when the overnights came out, even before they hit our screens, there was one book that hung a 6 on the total here. And I told you I jumped on the under in that because I knew it would eventually go to 5.5. And that's, if you look at the WagerTalk live odds, you're seeing 5.5. So listen, the Canucks are on a 5-game win streak. They're playing well. They're trying to get into the playoffs, but even with 7 games left, I think it's a case of too little, too late with this team, because they still have some very tough games. Dallas tonight, they play Minnesota, Calgary, and Edmonton. These are teams still battling for seeding spots. I think they've just left themselves with too tough a job to do here. And you look at this Dallas team. They're a bend don't break type of team. They're winning 1-goal games, and it doesn't matter whether they're playing Tampa Bay and finishing 1-0 or playing the San Jose Sharks and winning 2-1. They are playing a sort of playoff caliber hockey right now. That bend don't break, low scoring. They've won a bunch of 1-goal games. It's what they do, which is a good thing to have when you hit the playoffs. But I'm looking at the total here. They played 2 games thus far. 1 game in Dallas. This was about 3 weeks ago, just a little over 3 weeks ago. Vancouver goes in, plays a perfect playoff type game, beats Dallas 4-1, gets an empty netter in that game. They played back in November in Vancouver, 6-3 final. So you would think, a lot of goals, but 5 of those goals came on the power play. It was a penalty-filled game, 1 empty net goal in that game, only 3 5-on-5 goals in that game. And in a game like this, where Dallas is still looking for seeding because they want to finish 7th instead of 8th, so you avoid the Colorado Avalanche and you instead get the Calgary Flames, which might be a better matchup for them. And then you got Vancouver. So you expect a little more discipline on the ice, less of those dumb or reactionary penalties, and fewer power plays. And I think this stays under the total. So I think that's the right play here is under 5.5.
We're talking here with a Carmine Bianco NHL discussion. Carm, let's talk the Caps and the aforementioned Colorado Avalanche, the #1 seed in the West. Colorado, what, a -$2 favorite? We're seeing 7s as the total, 6.5 with juice or 7s. How would you play this game, Caps at Avalanche?
Yeah, when we talk about scheduling difficulty, you look at teams that are playing, usually 3 games in 4 nights, 4 in 6 nights. Sometimes that 5 in 8 nights is a bad one. The Caps are 4 games in 8 nights, and that might not sound bad for this team, but it is in the sense of all those games have had travel from home to Toronto to Montreal, and now a West Coast trip out to to Colorado, where this team is playing lights out hockey. They're 13-1-1 their last 15 games, and they're beating very good teams, beating Pittsburgh a couple times, Edmonton, Carolina, Calgary. They're even beating teams that are still fighting for something in Winnipeg and the LA Kings. So they're not getting any slouches in that win streak, and they're performing well. They're fighting the Florida Panthers for the President's Trophy, and they want to win that President's Trophy, and I hope they do because I have a futures bet on them to do so. Washington officially clinched the playoff spot. I think it was a foregone conclusion for them. They may want to try and leapfrog Pittsburgh for the wild cards, the 7th seeding, and play the Metro winner and avoid the Florida Panthers, who seem to score goals at will. With that said, I'm not one to ever lay juice. My clients know I don't lay these anything higher than minus 170, 180. I just don't lay those numbers. I can see you wanting to lay with Colorado because I think they're the right side tonight. But you can take them in regulation time. They're minus 125, anywhere from minus 125 to minus 130. They get it done in 60 minutes, and you cash that wager without taking a hit to your bankroll. The one caveat over this week, Teddy, that we have to look at is favorites have been doing unbelievable since Friday. Favorites are 22-0 in the NHL, 22 straight favorite winners. At some point that regression or variance is going to kick in, and some dog is going to jump up and bite someone in the ass, especially the parlay players and such. But I don't think tonight's the night, so I'm going to take Colorado in regulation time.
Carmine Bianco, everyone, guys, it's $9 Mondays. Carmine on a 14-0 NHL run. Brother, what do you have to promote? And then we got to let you go.
Yeah, just one play up in the NHL. You can get it for $9. Also, if you want to use coupon code CARM50, CARM50, you can get the rest of the NHL regular season and all of the playoffs for $169. It's regular $219. That coupon will get you $50 off at checkout. So head over to my page, the hockey drop-down menu, select the NHL playoff package, and use the code, and $169 gets every single play for the rest of the NHL regular season and playoffs. And hopefully we can make it 15-0 tonight.
Excellent stuff, Carmine Bianco. Thanks for joining us, brother Teddy. Odd couple promotion, everyone. We've already had some purchases, so thank you, guys. Shout out to you all for grabbing it. 3 days of Teddy and my plays. Only $59. No coupon code required. Head over to WagerTalk Teddy's page or my page. You'll find it right there. Art is looking slick, man. Art is looking good. Art, why do you look better on Mondays than Wednesdays?
I don't know. Maybe this is where I always should have been.
Yeah, I like the hair, the beard, just looking good, dude. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. It's a pleasure to be here. It feels a little weird to be here on Monday, but pleasure to be here and a lot to talk about.
Well, Teddy, take it over, bro. Pull out some actionable info from Art. You guys have 10 minutes.
All right, Art. Of course, Art, a great follow on Twitter at ArtDice21, and we know him as the risk management supervisor over at the Westgate Superbook right here in Las Vegas. Art, talk about the weekend from an NBA playoff perspective standpoint. How'd you guys do? Was it a good weekend? Any games stand out as particularly good or bad results for the house in the NBA?
Well, as far as the NBA goes, nothing that really jumps out where it was, really great or really bad, but I think the handle is the thing that jumps out for me. I've spoke about this numerous times on this show. The NBA handle is great. When you have, on a night-to-night basis, the NBA handle is great. These playoff games attract way more bettors. The NBA bettors are, they're firing away. They're firing away on higher limits, but then even the public's going to come in and bet the NBA, who maybe hasn't bet NBA all year. You're going to get 3-4 games a day in these NBA games. Obviously, they're playoff games, so good matchups should be good games. And that, to me, is the biggest takeaway from the weekend, the handle, the volume that we get on these NBA games.
So basically what Art DiCesare is telling us is that the public is betting the NBA like crazy here in the postseason, and we can expect more of that moving forward. So be aware perhaps who the public likes in a way that you might not always worry about when it comes to NBA basketball. Carmine Bianco was just on a moment ago talking about the favorites going 22-0 over the weekend in the NHL. Did you guys get hit by that? Did you guys get some parlay liability? What's the deal with the NHL favorites? And how bad was it for you at the Westgate Superbook this weekend when it came to the NHL?
Well, never good in any sport where all the favorites do their thing. And, I've talked about this before. NHL is a sport where I'm not saying we don't have our NHL bettors, because we do, but people are more likely to throw NHL bets into parlays, kind of, here's the last leg, I'll throw an NHL favorite in there. So people were sweetening the pots of their parlays with NHL bets, and obviously they were all hitting. Carmine hit on it. I wrote it down as well. They were 22-0 over the weekend. But, the thing you have to remind people too, late in the season here, it's a lot of almost $3 favorites in a lot of spots. High twos, even $3.50 favorites in these NHL games, because we're basically in the last 5 to 7 games, and there's a lot of haves and have-nots at this point in the NHL. So, be aware when you're looking at that 22-0. It's not like it's all minus 140 and below. You're looking at the Panthers, Colorado, even the Rangers, and all these teams. I mean, they're minus 350 in some of these spots.
So, if the NBA favorites went 22-0, or if MLB favorites went 22-0, you guys would have taken a much bigger hit than you did compared to NHL favorites going 22-0, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I remember there was that one stretch in the NBA where they had a similar run with the favorites, where they were winning all the but they do. And, not only that, but they're covering those games in the NHL. That was all point spread stuff. So, people are laying minus 110. So it's not like an NHL where you're laying minus 250, minus 350, minus 300. That was an NBA stretch where, people could have taken all these money lines, but they were covering point spreads. So that's a different animal, especially with the volume we're going to take on an NBA or even a Major League Baseball compared to the NHL.
And last question, looking back, I want to look forward because we have a ton of stuff to talk about moving forward. But last question, looking back, the USFL opened this last weekend. Did you get any action, or was it real quiet when it came to spring football?
It was quiet. I'm not going to say people didn't bet it. It was weird time of the year. I understand this is kind of where they're going to be slotted into the spring, but with baseball 2 weeks in, NBA playoffs just starting, NHL playoffs are going to start in 2 weeks. Kind of tough for the USFL to make any sort of a dent here. The big thing was everyone was saying, oh, take the unders, take the unders, take the unders. And that was kind of like the theme that everyone had talked about all weekend. And we were laughing as, that first game went over and, away we went. But no, it wasn't anything of note. Maybe as we get a couple weeks in and maybe people realize there is USFL football, maybe we could start talking about, oh, yeah, we're starting to see a little bit more here and there, but not much to really discuss over that first weekend.
All right. Well, let's look forward. Let's look at today's card and see what kind of action's coming into the Westgate Superbook. MLB this morning. Let's start right there. What are we seeing for baseball action? Who do the wise guys like? Who does the public like? Give us some actionable information on today's baseball card.
The two baseball games that have kind of jumped out, and, you're not really getting great prices, but Reds at Padres. We opened the Padres minus 158. It's moved 10 cents, a little bit more than that. Padres sitting minus 170. The Reds offense is brutal. They just can't score any runs. They've lost 6 straight. Padres obviously played the Sunday night game, but people have looked to fade the Reds early here, so you see the Padres. And then the A's. The A's have kind of been a surprise team. That was a team who had a team total of 6, 67, 68 in that range. Team that basically sold off their whole team. It's going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They've started off pretty well here. I believe 5-4. They're obviously playing a bad Orioles team, even though the Orioles look great against the Yankees this weekend. Go figure. But, we opened the A's minus 170, now minus 185. So, 15-cent move there. Interesting to note, too, on the Orioles. They've played 9 games. Depending on where you've got them, they're basically 1-8 or 0-8-1 to the over. So they haven't basically played any overs yet. But moves to Oakland early and moves to San Diego early in some baseball.
So he's saying that we've seen some sharp money coming on the Padres and the A's. All right, let's talk about NBA for tonight. 3 game twos in the association this evening. The Raptors, 76ers, the Jazz, the Mavs, and the Nuggets, Warriors. Again, who do the public like? Who do the wise guys like? Where's the money coming in the association on Monday morning?
I think the big thing that just jumped out for me in these early NBA games is the totals have just continued to move. I mean, not that the point spreads haven't moved a half point or a point here, but totals off opening numbers have really moved in these games. You just take the Raptors and Sixers. Yeah, we opened it 6.5. It's now 7.5. So obviously some Sixer money has come in. Barnes is out. How good the Sixers had looked. Maxey was great. Harden didn't even play that well. Embiid didn't play that well. And, I remember talking to you guys last week, and I was like, I don't know. The Raptors might be kind of live in that series at plus 165. After game one, they looked, like they could get swept or losing 5 in this series. So it didn't look great. But the total, open the total 220.5. It's now 215.5. So 5-point move there. A lot of under money coming in. So you've seen good under money on that first game. Second game, Jazz and Mavericks, real tough to figure out. I mean, obviously Luka is doubtful, so he probably won't play. That was something we opened 5. It did get to 5.5. It's now back at 5. But the totals kind of jumped around. Opened it at 203.5. It saw 202.5 for a minute, and now it's gotten to 206. So the over money has started to come in with the lowest total on the board. So once again, the total kind of flipping, or zigzagging or yo-yoing back and forth there. And then Nuggets Warriors open 7. Really no movement on the total. I mean, on the side so far. Obviously, the Warriors looked great in game 1, and Steph didn't even play well. Jordan Poole was incredible. I mean, Jokic, he's got no help, so go figure there. But total, 224.5, now 222. Under money's come in there. So to me, the big takeaway so far from these NBA games is the way the totals have moved so far.
Yeah. Art DiCesare, risk manager supervisor at the Westgate. An incredible follow on Twitter at ArtDice21. Art, NHL, man. We spoke briefly about it at the top. Here we go again. Calgary minus 300, Vegas 380, Carolina 420 at some books. You have anything for us in the NHL that you're hearing or seeing? And just out of curiosity, have the parlays gone up in the NHL given the last, 3 weeks of insane lines?
Yeah, that's the thing, Prez. And you even look at the slate tonight. I mean, obviously the Knights are playing a game that they have to win, but, besides Vancouver and Dallas, that's kind of like the only real playoff type game. It's just tough. It's going to be tough this last week or two in the NHL when you're just laying these big favorites. I know Carmine hit on it in his segment. There's probably value in finding some of those big favorites to win in regulation. You're still going to be laying juice. You're not going to be laying 300, 350, 250, whatever it is. There's probably a look on a lot of these totals. I know, Prez, you and I have talked about it. When you see 7s, you just have to blindly bet the over in 7, and a lot of that has come through lately, and you've started to see a lot of 7s come out because, that's how it is. There's a lot of really good teams in the NHL and a lot of really bad teams, but yeah, the parlays are always going to be there in the NHL, but to me, the parlays are like the backing of an MLB parlay or the backing of an NBA parlay as far as just taking 1 or 2 of these NHL teams and throwing it on the end. There's not a lot of people who are going to say, I'm going to take 3 or 4 or 5 NHL games, and that's my parlay of the day. NHL are parlay builders for the most part in games. So, that's kind of how I look at the NHL parlays. But I will say this, and I know you feel the same way, Prez. When we get to the playoffs in a couple of weeks, I think the playoffs are wide open. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The East is going to be incredible. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what we get day in and day out as far as these NHL playoff games go.
I'm with you, Art. Art DiCesare, everyone. His regular spot from here on out is Mondays. Art, you are a pleasure. Guys, follow him on Twitter at ArtDice21. Teddy covers real quick, man. We got to just let everybody know. Guys, we got an odd couple promotion up. Teddy and I, 3 days, only $59. I'm on a 4-1 baseball run. I've started the season up. Positive units on the baseball season. My hockey is incredible. 40 wins and 15 losses. Teddy, real quick, tell us how much about your run real quick.
I don't know, but this is the third promo for the same thing in the same show, Prez. So let's move
Chris,
along.
I guess
and
we
get on to your
won't be
presidential
cutting
address,
that promo to put up on Twitter. Teddy doesn't want it on Twitter. All right, welcome everyone. It is the daily presidential address. Check out WagerTalk Today. What a great show. Art DiCesare, Carmine Bianco, Steve Merril. We last left you 2-1 in our picks on Friday. We're on a 12-3 NHL run. I got 2 picks for you guys today. We'll be real quick. Ottawa over the total. I really like as we wind the season down. I like to take these bad teams when playing against each other over the total. Nobody's diving in front of shots. It's going to be wide open hockey. Everybody just wants to score. Take over the total. And a huge game in Vancouver tonight. They're hosting Dallas. I like the Canucks tonight on the money line. I have 1 NHL play up for my clients tonight, 1 NBA and 1 baseball. It's $9 Mondays. Teddy covers. I'm eating a bagel on Passover. Yeah, baby. Take us home.
That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Stay tuned right here on Wager Talk TV for the opening line report. Myself and Drew Martin at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. And of course, between now and tomorrow's show here on Wager Talk Today, enjoy the games and good luck.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.